Hello and welcome to The Pickle, brought to you by AC4SA, academic coaching for student athletes, and co-hosted by Ethan O'Day and Jack Sundberg. Here on The Pickle, we discuss with our guests, ranging from coaches to professional athletes, the pickle of all things, academics, sports, recruiting, high school to the pros, you name it, we talk about it. Our goal for the podcast is to give people insight into the sports world and student athletes' perspectives by sharing current and former athletes, educators, and coaches' real-life experiences. Telling story is one of the most powerful means for leaders to influence, teach, and inspire. These stories resonate in our culture, history, and lesson learned. The Pickle brings you these stories of adversity, triumph, failure, and determination to get inspired, to take them to your school, home, life, and court. Listen, learn, share, and enjoy. Today's guest is Joey Colton from Norwood, Mass. He attended Zavarian Brothers School in Massachusetts, where he was Mass State Player of the Year before doing a post-grad year at Avon Old Farm School. From there, Joey went to walk on his freshman year at UMass, to earning a scholarship within a few weeks of the season, to being a team captain in just his freshman year. He was a Burlsworth Trophy nominee, the all-time leading tackler for defensive back at UMass, and graduated with a 3.4 GPA with a major in public health and a minor in education. He currently works as a surgical salesman while running his own strength and speed performance called Straight Fast. Joey Colton, welcome to The Pickle.
The Pickle Pod. We're back and we're better. Super excited for our guest today. Another football guy, all academic guy, 3-year captain, Burlsworth Trophy nomination, all-time leading tackles for defensive backs at UMass. Joey Colton, welcome to the show, my man.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Joey, excited to have Joey
what's
on.
good?
Went to high school with Joey. Absolute best. So I'm excited to have you on. Not only, as a football player, but as a student. Well, you had a lot of years as all academic at UMass, and you really stuck to your grind. So I know, the show on the Pickle Pod. We started off with some rapid fire questions, a couple icebreakers. Get the juices flowing a little bit. So Ethan, take them away.
Let it rip.
All right, let's do it. Question number 1: dinner with one athlete.
Ooh, dinner with one athlete. I'd say Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor,
Nice.
Enthusiasm.
That'd be a fun one.
I just be asking questions all the time.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Number 1 thing on the bucket list.
Number 1 thing on the bucket list. I want to take a month off and go to Europe. That's like kind of at the front of my mind. Yeah, that's one thing.
Love it. Travel, get out there. Yeah. Favorite movie of all time.
Good Will Hunting, hands down. Gotta go see About a Girl, baby. Let's go.
I love it. That's top 3 for me too. How do you start your day every morning?
I work out. That's the first thing I do. As soon as I wake up, within 5 minutes, I tell myself, feet on the floor, and I just drink some black coffee. I'm off to the gym. First thing.
Savage mode. I love that. I'm gonna go work out tomorrow. I'd work out the morning too, but I put a little cream in my coffee.
Perfect.
First quote that comes to mind.
Well, now that I said it, gotta go see About a Girl.
I love it.
Fair enough.
A lot of Boston themes in here. Let's keep it rolling.
Let's go.
That's awesome. Yeah. So we'll sort of just dive right in. I think playing at UMass, you're a football guy. You're on the field all the time, so it's not like you got a bunch of time to spare. Just talk a little bit about being an athlete and a student at UMass. What are some things that you had success with, and what are some things that you struggled with that you really had to say, like, whoa, I got to step it up here to make these things, being a student athlete, work?
The thing about going to college is that I think it's the first time for most people away from home. And you throw in the X factor of like being a Division I athlete, at least probably doing you do at least doing 40 to 60 hours a week, depending upon what time of the year is in your sport. So, the day starts earlier. You have a class right after, you work out, or you have team meetings in the morning, depending on the season. And then really the only off time during the day is like in the late morning. You know what I mean? So it's almost a weird time. It's like, then you got to study, have like time management. You know what I mean? You got to say, do I go watch film? Do I get a little homework done while I can? Do I take this time, maybe take a nap, chill? Like, what do I need to do to make myself more efficient? And then, it gets to later in the day, and time management really matters, because then you got to go right down to practice straight after a class. You got to make sure you have food with you. You got to make sure like you check in mentally. And then, it's football. So you got to be there physically too. And you got to be ready to be physical. So like, that's kind of like the whole way my mind was working all day.
Absolutely. I'm going to follow up with a question on this. Like, we talk a lot about the grind, and with football is nothing like it. And having to like physically show up every day and be ready to hit people. I think it's just a different type of mentality you have in practice. How would you take time for yourself? Like, what would you do outside of your sport? Obviously you have this rigid schedule, but what would you do to get out of the grind? Was it watching movies? Was it some mindfulness stuff that you did that kept you in a good headspace?
I loved everything about football. So it never really felt like work. I always couldn't wait to go, actually. And I thought, like, because I loved it, I always knew that was like a hidden way that I was separating myself, because I was always putting in A+ effort. But like anything else, you need time away from stuff. And for me, man, it was just being with the boys. Like, that was the best. Like, just doing what college kids do, and just really enjoying that short time frame you have to be an athlete, and just have that camaraderie with a bunch of guys who are like pretty good athletes, like all love playing, talking it, doing it, and then the weekends just like going out and socializing with people, and being lucky to really have the advantage of UMass, where it's a type of school where you can really get a social life in any type of way that you want, meeting people from all different walks of life and going to different events and being a part of all these like clubs and activities and stuff like that. So it was great to get like this whole diverse experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's so true. Like,
definitely what I guess I'm
with your
getting at.
teammates.
What I guess I'm getting at, it's the real way to grow up. Like, I think it's just like, it's not just like this fixed atmosphere. Like, you can really, a whole education is get like the most amount of like experience that you can.
We've talked about that a lot with guests before, and it's just to be social and get outside of just not only your like athletic circle and talk to other people and like connect, like that's going to help you long term, and it's going to help you grow up and like for whatever career path you choose. So a lot of athletes can, like, I know, especially in the basketball world, you can be very introverted and just get stuck in your athletic circle. So I love that you said that. Just being social and like going to events and like talking to people, it's good for your mental health too, and it's just good for you overall, like to grow up as a person. So that's important stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's so easy to get stuck in your bubble as an athlete. It's like you could just literally just be with your team 24/7. But to get out, branch out, hang out with teammates outside the field, I think that goes a long way. And it just brings you closer together. I mean, we have so many guests on, and, they're working corporate jobs or they're done playing sports, and they're like, honestly, the thing that I miss the most is like waking up at 6 a.m., like with my teammates, like going to get a lift in and then going to get some lunch at the dining hall or breakfast. It's like,
great, man.
That's what you miss the most, And I think, like you said, Joey, it's such a short time, and you don't realize it sometimes in the moment, how short it is. It's like you get 4 years to play at like a really high level. And then maybe you're done for the rest of your life, to play like a really organized sport where, a whole university is behind you.
Definitely.
So for sure. Talk a little bit about, and I think it's really different for football. It's like, cause you see, 18-year-olds go playing in the NBA, you see, a Juan Soto's in the MLB at age 20. Like, football is different. Like, you can't put, an 18-year-old like on the field with grown men, or like a 16-year-old, it's just different. Right. So talk a little bit about the difference between high school football and college football for a lot of our guests and listeners who are, high school football players who are like getting ready to play college football, or they're making a decision whether to go play college football. Cause I think there's a huge difference between high school football and college football.
Yeah. Being from Massachusetts is that football is not really the mega sport. Although there's a lot of good players. So The thing is, it's hockey, lacrosse, baseball season up here just because the seasons are so rapid. A lot of good athletes do a lot of different things, but I think the thing with football is, one, you get to Division I college football, and guys naturally just step faster, cut on the dime, really love football. You start getting around those type of guys, and then also too, even at UMass, a third of our team was from Florida. The other 2/3 was from Jersey, Pennsylvania, all these places. And they come in, it's already football's already a religion for these kids. So I was right in my own. I can't imagine if I was from there, it would probably be even more. I was right in my own element, and I was like, wow, this is great. This is exactly the atmosphere I've looked for. And I was so excited to be submerged in it. So that was the biggest change for me, because I felt like school too, a lot of the times, when it came to grinding, it was you train with the kid, he'd last 2 weeks. You train with the kid, he'd last for a little while. And there was a couple of kids that really wanted to grind. College, pretty much everyone just wants to grind. And then we get in the field and we got to compete.
Yeah, that's honestly finding those guys that you want to be around. And you're not always going to find guys like that. I think people's college experience that, they won't always be guys that you want to surround yourself with. They might not, grind as much or love the game as much or just work as hard. You want to surround yourself with those people. And if you're really a baller, that's what you want to do. Football, baseball, basketball. You want to work out with those guys and hang out with them, especially the older ones. So
that's from the physical standpoint. One thing I should have made it more brief, but college at Division I, those are tough jobs to get. There's a lot of good coaching. All my guys were ex-NFL guys. Jeff Burris was a first rounder, played for Notre Dame. Greg Burns, the defensive backs coach during the USC Reggie Bush days. Ted Dasher was a special teams coordinator on 3 NFL teams. Then my D coordinator was Nick Saban's D coordinator at LSU. I mean, these guys bounce around and they land at UMass. It's a lot of good coaching. And then if you get your mind, this is another thing too for young guys, get your mind around just absorbing good coaching. That's the huge difference. Recognize it and absorb it, and just be a yes man, because these guys want to help you play.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think
that was you too, Sonny. When you got to UConn, it's this guy, played for the Orioles. He was here or there. He was a great baseball player. Has a lot of connection. Man, I just got to listen to this man.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great point that you just made about just surrounding yourselves, with those guys. Because I think one thing that you see, especially even when I came in at UConn, it was I wanted to get around the best guys, the seniors, the juniors who were top guys. Because what did you do to get here, and how can I emulate you? Because I want to be right where you're at when I'm a junior and senior. So, and as you saw, and I'm sure you guys both saw at your schools, it's those guys who they were down at the end of the squat racks, just with a couple freshmen just doing their things. Not always the case, but guys started to dwindle away, slowly fade. And it's I'm trying to go to the big dogs.
And they do it to themselves. And the thing is, at the end of the day, if you're going to do anything worth hard, it's got to be led by passion. You got to love to work. You got to love, like you and I did, getting up early and grind. You got to love, and Coach says, get on the line. You got to love running out of the tunnel. You got to love preparing to give yourself a chance to make a play, because players make plays.
Absolutely.
And I love what you said about the coaching stuff too. I'll say this real quick. It's when you go to a college sport, the academic part of the game, studying film, preparing for a scout, it's a whole new level than high school. And I don't care what sport it is. You just have to be prepared, and you're around really good coaches, and you have to, like you said, just absorb that coaching. So another really good point. I'll let you keep back with your next question.
Yeah, no, I think absorbing coaching is huge. Great. I mean, we're professionals. So I think we're gonna do a little segue here, folks. I think this is Joey has a really cool story for, I think, everybody to hear. So we're gonna sort of give the mic to Joey here and do a little something different here on the Pickle Pod, and sort of just let him tell his story.
I'll do my best.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think go all the way from the coach coming in at Avon and doing the whole thing. So we're going to give Joey the floor, and we're just going to be listeners for a little bit.
So I guess the point of my story is passion, right? I've said that 5 times now. Passion leads everything. You got to be a little lucky too. And 3 is I think you can't be afraid to like go take a risk as long as you really believe it. That's the point of my story. So pretty good high school player. My public school wasn't great at the time for high school football. So I went to a Catholic high school, powerhouse program, Severian Brothers High School in Massachusetts, one town over, went there, had a pretty good career, 1 year as a state MVP. We had a great team though, no doubt. Like I was only good because of the guys that were around me, that's for sure. Senior year, another pretty good year. And then, didn't get recruited by anybody, only got recruited by a couple of D2 schools, but always had my sights on wanting to play Division I football. I was always like, I go hard at everything I do because at the end of the day, I just want to end up here. So I'm going to do whatever it takes. And I made up my mind when I was about 12 years old on that. And so my mentality is, nothing's going to get in my way. And so didn't get recruited by anybody, got a little lucky. My uncle was the headmaster at Avon Old Farms, got a little lucky. Ended up going to Avon for a post-grad year. Football wise, didn't work out the way I wanted to. Got hurt a couple of times. Got poked in the eye really bad. Messed up my eye. Busted up my fibula. Broke my leg in the second game. Put a brace on it. Played the rest of the year on that. I don't know if you remember, Sonny. And
Yep.
Just wasn't the player. I just didn't get the film that I needed. Understandable. So same thing. Had the same D2 schools as the year before. It was 2 weeks after signing day. And lucked out, my coach Driscoll, got a walk-on spot for me to UConn, right in Avon's backyard over in Hartford. And it's still out-of-state tuition at the end of the day, like now, financial aspect. So getting that walk-on spot, he called up UMass, who was going 1A at the time. And he said, hey, I got a kid. He's probably going to go to Connecticut. Why don't you guys get him? He'll probably go to you guys. Trust me, great player. He said, I was right there in his office. Remember how Coach Driscoll used to call coaches right now when we were in there? Such a boss move. But anyways, luck. You hear the whole conversation back. I love this guy. But anyways, needed that. Lucked out. They were like, yeah, bring him down to school. And they were recruiting a kid we played with, Al Aeneas. So they gave Al a walk-on spot, and they were like, yeah, fine. I remember we were walking out, and my coach said, and Joe Colton too, right? Joe Colton's coming too, and I was right there up at UMass. He's like, yeah, Joe can come too. It was that loose. Like, yeah, Joe can come too. Not only that, they offered a kid that was a year behind us at Avon. Remember they offered John Van Allen? They gave him a full boat. And I was like, damn, they offered a kid who's a year younger than me. Literally a walk-on 2 weeks after signing day as a post-grad. I'm like, man, I can't wait to prove all these people wrong. So got hooked up with a really great trainer, started training like no tomorrow, just developed a passion for it so quickly, came in shape. And, pretty much when I got there were too many kids on the team. They almost forgot that they gave me a walk-on spot pretty much. And they were like, hey, we got so many guys in the field. There can only be 105 on the field, 115 on the roster at once. You're going to have to sit out a couple of days. So I sat out probably like 3 or 4 practices. And by then we're in full pads. So, I'm in full pads and like, wait, well, you got to you can't hit, you can't have contact for another couple of days. So there goes 1 week right there, 1 week of practice. So my first day of or my second practice, I think, of actually being able to hit was our first scrimmage. And, I wasn't out at practice, practicing, but I was taking a lot of mental reps. So one thing, you can learn here is guys were screwing up the simple play calls, all that stuff. And I'd hear coach going over and over with them. And I would just take mental reps before the play, during the play, after the play. And then we got to the scrimmage and the starters played and they're all competing and stuff. And I was the 12th safety out of 12 safeties. And the way they grade you in college is, it's more serious now. They literally put your name up on a whole entire board, like a whiteboard, and they give you a plus, minus, or nothing. Plus, you made the play, you did something extraordinary. Minus was a mental error or missed a tackle, got beat, something like that. Wasn't coachable, something like that. So at the end of the scrimmage, first play, I got a pick 6. Threw the ball right to me. Wasn't a great ball, but picked it, took it to the house. Coach said when we got to camp, he said, best players play. And so, that resonated with me. And I was like, okay, did pretty good, gave me some confidence. Went out the second week, won all those Oklahoma drills, that was really where I was starting to separate myself, was in before practice even started. Really, the first drill of the day is like to get you juiced up to practice. You know what I mean? It's a physical drill. So from there, we had our second scrimmage and third scrimmage, and I just kept having the most points. So eventually I went into coach's office and I was like, look, coach, I was like, players make plays. Like, I'm still on the scout team, like not getting as many reps as I think I should. I said a little bit better than that. And he was like, I have scholarship players and I need to give them a chance to like play. You know what I mean? He's like, you kind of just right now coming out of nowhere. That's what he told me. I was like, okay. And meanwhile, this guy coached for Nick Saban, LSU, and all that. And by the way, I didn't even say this. I was wearing number 63. I was in the back locker room with all the other walk-ons and troublemakers. They had a separate locker room from the rest of the football team because there's so many kids on the team and trying out. So they put me in the back, gave me number 63, and they gave me used cleats. We're an Adidas-sponsored school. I brought up my Nikes, and they were like, you can't wear those. And they were like, everyone has cleats, and literally you're the last kid. They were like, so here's a used pair from the spring before that somebody wore. They gave me Adidas Scorchers. They were used. So anyways, all that too. And so we're playing our first game of the year. Who are we playing? UConn, the only other team that gave me a walk-on spot. Literally something out of the movie Rudy. They posted the travel roster that week after the last scrimmage right outside the locker room. And I looked and I saw that I had a blue mark right through my name. I'm like, fuck. Excuse me. I was like, damn, And so I was like, that means I'm on the look team. The look team wears blue jerseys. So I had to be UConn safety at practice. And as soon as I saw that blue line through my name, and I just had a fire under my ass. And so we went right out to practice, and we, went through Indy and all that. We get to scout team and all that, and I have to throw the jersey on. And the first play, the offense ran, the UMass offense was they run a run to the right. And I just came up and clotheslined the kid. And coach hit the air horn in front of my face. He's like, you're an effing bleeping a-hole. He was like, you don't try to take a lineup shot at the starting running back. You're on scout team. He said, get out of here. Told me to get out of practice. So I left practice, and we came back the next day and I did it again. I just literally did it again. And he erupted so bad, but didn't kick me out of practice the second time. I don't know why. Long story short is I'm go through the rest of the week, and we're playing on a Friday night at UConn. They did a walkthrough that Thursday at UMass's stadium, and we had our first day of classes that day too. I was up in a biodiversity or a science class, and I got a text message from one of the GAs. Hey, pack your bag. You're coming to Connecticut. Starter got hurt. Christian got hurt. So that put me right on the bus the day before the game. And, hopped in. It was pretty cool. I had my bag packed, went and checked my locker one more time. Threw one more thing in my bag, hopped on the bus. I'm like, great, I'm going. Hit up my dad. My dad was pumped. I told the equipment manager on the bus, like, hey, I've been 63 all month in practice. I was like, I can't play defense with 63 out in the field. He goes, hey, I think it's great that you're traveling. He goes, I have number 5. He goes, if you want to double up with an offense. I was like, great. So long story short, we get to the hotel, and we're doing the walkthrough, and I'm acting like the UConn offense, like, you're not going to play tomorrow. He told me. So we ran this one play that UConn runs. It's like a pin pull sweep, couple guys block down, guard tackle come, and as a safety, you got to go up and meet the puller to like stop the play from expanding. Well, I only remembered that play really, and then I was like, okay, cool. So fast forward, get to the stadium. It's game day. Dog pound looks good. The grass looked great. I was like, wow, this is awesome. Go check out my locker. All I see is the used cleats and number 63 in my locker again. I'm like, are you kidding me? So my buddy at the time, one of my teammates, he's actually a Connecticut kid. He was like, hey, chill out. Like, it's all good. Like, don't worry. I'm like, no, I can't be 63 on TV. Like, I just can't. So I went into the equipment manager and I was like, hey, please. I'm like, can you just give me something else, eligible that I can wear below number 50, 49 and below. And he was like, yeah, here's 46 with no name on the back. And I said in my head at that time, like, what if I can make it count tonight? I just turned it into a positive. So get out, go to the game, 46, no name on the back. So you would never know who I am on the roster. I'm just some guy, some kid out there. Could have been a fraternity boy, for God's sake. They kicked the ball off to UConn. UConn goes 90 yards on our defense. Last play of the drive, the backup replacing the starter that got hurt. So our backup that's starting the game breaks his leg. Bam, out 8 weeks. Group injury. He looked like Willis McGahee, for God's sake. And so next guy up. It's a freshman. That's another freshman. Kid was a 7-foot high jumper, great athlete, good kid. Was a great player for us. But it was his first college start against UConn, who at the time was a great program. And they were going to Fiesta Bowls and all that. And so every time they need a play, they run a dig over the middle. Anytime they need a run, they run in that pin pull sweep that we were running in the hotel. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, at least I'm listening. I'm getting mental reps that throw this whole game. Coach comes up to me. He goes, hey, I was looking for you. Couldn't find me because my number, you know what I mean? Thought I was going to be 69. Goddamn. Old Ted Dasher comes up to me, goes, hey, be ready if, he gets hurt or, we need you to go in or something, need to make a play. So long story short is I just took it upon myself. I said to myself, I was like, man, it's now or never. I go, this is the moment. I just felt completely confident. I felt calm. I was just like, in my mind, I was like, I'm ready to play, but now or never. It's either go back on scout team. He's going to come back from the hip flexor. They're not going to want to play me and say he hasn't played yet. He's a freshman. I go, got to go in now. So next time we punted and defense went up, I went up to the kid, Kareem, and I said, hey, coach told me I'm in. And he was like, really? And I was like, swear to God, I was like, I'm in. So I went to the other sideline on purpose. I told our captain, who was the other safety, Darren Thelen, I go, hey, I'm going to UConn sideline, like no free and boundary, like none of that. I'm going to the UConn sideline. So I was far away from our sideline, and he's like, yep, okay. And they came out in first play, like, they're going to run the pin pull sweep. I'm like, first play, what they do, they ran that, and I just ran up and beat the guard and just right on the face. Just great. It was awesome. Best feeling I've ever had in my life. Got up, went nuts. My whole team went crazy for me. It was just a great feeling. And coach comes up and he goes, hey, get off the field. And the GA comes out, takes my helmet. He goes, you're done. He goes, you don't put yourself in the game. So I sat on the bench. They hid my helmet so I couldn't go back in the game. Didn't play. I played like 3 plays, didn't play the rest of the game. And so we lost the game. And coach was like, at the end of the locker room, he's like, there's some selfish players on this team, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, this guy's sending me home after scout team and just competed no matter what. I was always competing, like no matter what, like lie, cheat, steal. Like I was competing the whole time. And so we get to film on Monday and we split up offense and defense. And we had this seat in our film room we had like the front row geek seat. Like if you were in trouble, you sat there. If you're going to get praised because we won the game and that player did something good, you sat there. There was this chair for everyone at one point. So it was my day for the chair. So I sat in the chair. On the projection screen, I could see that like the play freeze, the one play I played, the few plays I played. And he just yelled at me for 20 minutes. He was like, you come in, you're selfish, blah, blah, blah. But not like by my mouth, just like by some of the stuff that happened. You know what I mean? And he was like, buddy, he was like, you're tough. He was like, I love that about you. He's like, I love the fearlessness. He's like, I love the confidence, and I wasn't like walking around with my chest out, not that type of confidence, like just having so much belief and drive and hostility and then putting it out into aggression on the field. We had this little tack board called Bad to the Bone and nobody got it because it was first game of the year. But there was a little black thing behind it, there was a black thing in front of it, like a little black cape in front of it. And he pulled it down and he goes, it was picture of me. He goes, this dude's bad to the bone. He goes, he's my starter. The rest of you guys are done. He goes, best players play. He's like, I don't care if you transfer. I don't care what you do. And our first home opener, that was it. I was starting from that point and starting at Gillette. We played Indiana. And then a few games after that, He was a captain, and then finished as the all-time leading tackler for DBs. Played like 36 or 40 games, but it just was a little lucky too. Definitely lucky, but I loved it. Had to work for all of it.
I mean, that's
Wow.
straight out of a movie. It's at the end of the day, it sounds like, I mean, it's really just doing whatever it takes and advocating for yourself, and believing in, like, we talk about this all the time. Like, we talk to a lot of walk-ons that are like sending emails, like doing whatever it takes to just get on the roster. But like, you took it upon yourself to do whatever it took to like actually give yourself a shot. Because football, you're on that spreadsheet so far back as a walk-on, and the right things happen, and then you did what you had to do.
Yeah, I mean, just an absolutely insane story. I mean, from going from 12th on the depth chart all the way to becoming a starter, and then, earning a scholarship your freshman year and becoming a captain. I mean, that's just insane. And I think so often it's just, the woe is me sort of story. But I think, you said, no matter what, I'm going to find a way. And most of the time there's always a way. And as long as you keep trudging a little bit, I think sometimes you go two forward, and then you go one back, and then you go one forward, then you go three back. And just as long as you say, you know what, each day I'm going to find a way to keep moving forward, sort of like you did. Yeah. And I mean, just an absolutely incredible story. I mean, just really, I mean, we got to make a movie. Good Will Hunting is number 2 now. I think the JC 2.5.
But the thing is, you gotta love it. You gotta love the journey. You know what I mean? It's not all about the end destination. Like, you gotta really actually love, like, the value. The value is in the journey. You know what I mean?
Yes,
absolutely.
No intrinsic value of being the starter, going, like, it's like the whole thing. The whole thing's the journey. Like, it's all a story. Like, if you really believe it, like, do it on your own. We're always so told these days, you got to be patient. You got to wait. Like, you got to do, the system. You got to go about your time. It's like, man, if you want to, just go for it. There's nothing wrong in it soon. But you got to believe it. You got to know that nobody else can tell you that.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Like, I always say that you got to find a way to have fun and like enjoy the little things along the way. But it really sounded like you just knew. A lot of guys too, walk-ons, any guys trying to make a roster as a freshman, they're scared of the guys in front. They're not sure if they're as good as they are. And even if you know that they're better than you, you just have to be fearless and be like, yeah, that's how you get their respect. I'm going to compete with every day. Like, I love you, like, going
and whether you're a football player, basketball player, you're the goddamn Queen's Gambit, right? Like whatever you love to do, like, and you put so much time into it because it's a want to, not a need to, right? And then you trust all the training you put into it, whatever that training ritual is that you do, whether it's lifting weights or playing chess, like I said, whatever it is, like, man, that's when you get into the blocks or you get into the competition and you're like, man, bring it. I trust so much of my training.
Absolutely. So we'll go on to the next sort of section here. I think, we talk a lot about on the show about, being a student athlete is really hard. There's a lot of rigors. There's not a lot of free time. It's you're doing 2 full-time jobs, and oftentimes, like, guys are walk-ons. Guys don't get full scholarships. Guys maybe are on 25% or whatever it is. If being a student athlete is so difficult, why even play? Because a lot of high school athletes ask themselves that question. So why play, and how did playing football help change your life, prepare you, the whole shindig?
Well, the thing is, I don't know. I'm always my best when, like, I'm alert all day. It's almost like playing football made me better at school. It's like a yin and yang thing. You know what I mean? I liked having both. And I think for a lot of kids, like, when you go to class and, like, that's it, and you have 2 classes that day, like, man, everyone's getting 24 hours. Like, you gotta really maximize that window of time. You know what I mean? You're not just going to class. If you're just going to class just to get a bachelor's, well, you're just like 75% of all the other kids. You know what I mean? Like, at least with football, it's like, whether I knew it at the time or not, I was building skills. I was having to think for myself with my own time because I didn't have much of it. You know what I mean? And then I just got in this habit of always being busy, and then you just get in this flow state. And, like, a lot of kids can't get a flow state because they got too much time in their hands. You know, that's what I got best from it. And then that's what, like you say, what's an athlete do for you, like carrying to like the real world after. I'm 28 years old now, not exactly old, but last 4 or 5 years, I've taken that approach and like, you know, it's like, okay, I'm working all day. It's like, okay, I got out today. What can I do for the last year? Maybe I'll start a business, or I'll go bartender, or I'll start a side hustle. And then, dude, then you're just elevating. And just like being an athlete taught me how to like always want more, do what you love, and always like do what you can to elevate. And then like now, like I'm busy sun up to sundown. Usually I'm still working right now, you know, but I'm just like really just still staying in the present, but still wanting more, and staying disciplined as an athlete, and all that gave me that.
Yes. That daily schedule and that structure, it's everything. And it's how you stay in that flow state and you stay happy and driven. The last question we ask all of our student athletes and just guests on in general is, if you could give advice to your younger self before you go through this whole academic journey, what would it be?
If I give myself any advice, man, it would probably be just to enjoy it more, you know. Because you want to work hard, you want to kill it, you want to love what you do, but there is this balance of like, you know, almost like being too much, you know, inside your mind, you know, not out of your mind, but inside your mind. And sometimes you just need to like just relax. All right, it's just not that serious. Like enjoy it and just like bring it back to having fun.
100%. Yeah, I think Jack and I interviewed each other like for the pilot of this whole thing, and we both like agreed on that thing. We're like, man, back when we were like in high school and going through it all, it's like we never let ourselves like enjoy it enough, like because you were just thinking you gotta get to the next thing,
Yeah, you're always like just trying to compete, and it is a great way, and it is how you get ahead. But you know, it's always like when you look for it, you're like, man, I wish I enjoyed it more.
Absolutely. And I
don't
think,
have to do anything different, just in your mind, you know, just enjoy it more.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's not like you have to change and go do a bunch of other different stuff, but it's really taking a look around and saying, you know, wow, this is great. You know, look where I'm at and enjoy it every day. Cause like you said, it's not going to be around forever. Even if you go play professionally, I mean, it's going to end at some time. So enjoy that little time that you got to play, because
try new things, you know, explore your mind, man.
Yeah.
Really explore your mind.
Absolutely. Well, Joey, I appreciate you coming on. Unbelievable story. I think a lot of our listeners are going to enjoy it.
You're probably the best high school football player I played with, man.
I was a kid. I mean, just anything I can do, kick, punt, you know, I'm out there, baby.
Dude, you were the guy, man.
Special team.
You weren't the wildcat guy. You were the wild guy.
The wild guy. Joey, awesome, man. I can't wait for this one to come out. I think people are really going to enjoy it.
Can't wait, man.
And good stuff.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Joey.
Hey, nice to meet you, man.
Yes, nice meeting you too, Joey. Thanks.